Welcome to Kykar Wins Fury. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, I like this one. We're going to keep on this. We've got Volcanic Island, we've got a Fetch Land, we've got Mausoleum Wonder, which actually works out pretty well in this deck. We've got Skull Clamp. And if you've never played Skull Clamp in if you've never had the opportunity to play Skull Clamp in a token deck, oh my goodness, that is some good magic. And we've got double just white spot removal, which is just beautiful, beautiful open hand. So let's go and lead off with Windswept Heath. While our opponent does not have any sort of blue mana up, let's go and crack Windswept Heath. We're going to grab ourselves a white source. Probably just going to go and grab a Tundra. Let's go for this Skull Clamp. There we go. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Kykar, Winds Fury. Flying, whenever you cast a spell, create a 1/1 spirit, white spirit creature token with flying. Then for an activated ability, sacrifice a spirit, add red mana to your mana pool. Playing against Kess, the Dissident Mage. Flying, during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If a card cast this way will be put in your graveyard, exile it instead, and then run into Op. So let's go and lead off with Volcanic Island. And yeah, I think we're good. We've got Narset's Reversal we can leave up. We've got Opt we can go for at the end of our opponent's turn. We really just want to hit that third land drop. They did go for Crypt of the Eternals. It enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, then filter mana for that. Okay. That's not too bad. So we'll see if they end up going for a pretty quick little mana rock. We might end up going for Arcane Denial, but Sleight of Hand. Do we want to end up going? We do have Opt that we can go for. We could go for Narset's Reversal. I think that would be pretty good. Yeah, let's go for Narset's Reversal. I think that's good. Because if they've got some counter magic, they have to burn it for 1, and at least we can send that back to the hand. That's going to chew up their entire turn. And that's going to allow us to go for a Sleight of Hand cantrip, and also a little bit of a nice tempo play, which I kind of like. Let's put Remand into our hand, and we'll put Counterspell on the bottom. Now, the main reason we're going for Remand over Counterspell is because that we really need this. We need to hit that third land drop. So if they do have another play that we can go for, casting Remand to counter that spell and go for a card draw is another wonderful tempo play that we can go for. So hopefully we end up, if we don't hit the land, we can at least go for Op next turn. And, oh, beautiful. Yeah, let's do this. Let's just go and shock in Sacred Foundry. You're going to pay 2 life, and then we'll go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. When you build your very own Spirit Squad, where you can get a bunch of spirits on the battlefield, hey, they've got a ton of spirits for you to choose from over there. So have fun picking out whatever sort of spirit you want to build with Tribal. Not with Tribal, with Kykar. You can even go Spirit Tribal or just Spell Slinger like this. And also, shout out to Inked Gaming. Do we want to... I think we'll let that go through. That's fine. But yes, shout out to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order and help the channel at the same time. Or, so you can check out some of my designs. Type in JOLT539 in the search bar. Or you can simply just use the coupon to snag a playmat that you've been looking at. So let's go and go for Op. We're going to scry 1 and then draw a card. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get to that 4th mana. Let's go and put that on the bottom for right now. An Ancient Tomb, that is perfect. So anything else? No. Let's go and kick it back over into our turn. Then we run into Steam Vents. So I think at this point, we don't really, we probably could very safely get down Kykar, because that's going to be Ancient Tomb. But either way, we can't get down both and leave up swords and pass. So I think at this point, what we'll probably end up doing is let's just go and shock in Steam Vents. Yeah, because that way we'll at least still be online for Arcane Denial and Remand, and that's going to allow us the opportunity to kind of start, at least kind of stifle our opponent's board state from developing a little bit. If you've never played against Kess, Kess is a very, especially in 1 versus 1, it is pretty brutal to play against sometimes, so I'm just going to go for Ponder. Yeah, we're going to let that go on through. And I think we're both at this point right now where we're both kind of... we've got some resources in the hand, so we're kind of doing this little dance of just getting little cantrips out here and there. But hopefully, Swords of Plowshare and Path to Exile will make a big difference in this one. And last but not least, I started at Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits. And look at the top 3 cards. I think we'll just go for... Let's try to stick a Remand on that. That way we at least have a harder counter spell with Remand. I mean, with Arcane Denial. Kind of like that. All right, so we're going to go for Remand. But yeah, there's a link down in the description below. And if you can't join the Patreon, hey, no worries at all. Tell somebody about the channel. And that would be... greatly appreciate that. So, now it's officially free time. We can have some fun. Now, I think we will end up going for Kykar next turn. We can go Ancient Tomb, but that's really going to kind of mess our mana up. So, let's go for Sulphur Falls. And let's go for Kykar. All they have is Dragon Skull Summit, so I feel pretty good about this line of play. And that still gives us the opportunity to leave up Swords or Path to Exile, because the main thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that Kess does not stick on the battlefield. And if we can get the Sword to Plowshare or Path to Exile to stick against our opponent, in this particular matchup, if we can keep going for these kind of tempo plays where we're just kind of jamming our opponent turn after turn with Remand or Narset's Reversal, and they're just basically just, ooh. Okay. So Innocent Blood, and that's going to allow them to go for Kess. Yeah, that's going to get Kykar. Thankfully, we do have Ancient Tomb, so we're going to go ahead and let that stick through. Yeah, we could go for Swords or Path, but I want our opponent to kind of think the coast is clear for Kess, and then that's going to allow us to go for Swords or Path. Strategic planning, sure, go for that. We could still end up going for Ancient Tomb. That'll still put us in the same spot next turn. But yeah, one of the advantages that we will have in this matchup is that we can at least kind of get a 2-for-1 off of our spells, where our opponent's trying to get a 2-for-1 out of the graveyard. So as long as we keep Kess off the battlefield, we should be in a pretty good spot. And with all this filtering, hopefully they've run a little bit low on resources. Even something like Mausoleum Wanderer, just being able to get those spirits on the battlefield and sacrificing a spell, instant or sorcery, is just such a good feeling. So kind of like how this game is developing, and it's going off pretty good. Okay, Boros Charm. Let's go Ancient Tomb, and once again, that's going to keep us on that single white mana removal gameplay that we want to go for. All right, then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So if we can get this turn to stick, if we can end up having Kykar stick around on the battlefield, if we end up going for Swords or Path, hopefully on Kess, maybe they run out of gas, that'll allow us to kind of get a few extra spirit tokens on the battlefield. Then once we go for these Skull Clamp tokens, that'll really allow us to start catching some card draw. Lands target player controls don't untap during their next untap step. Okay, so we're going to get hit with Mana Vapors, and that is a... that is a very nice play. I haven't seen that card in a very long time. I love the art on that, other than just getting hit with Mana Vapor. So if they're tapping out for Kess, we can take a turn off. Archive. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So if they're going to go for Archive, that'll be a little extra card draw. We can still make the land drop and be on for Arcane Denial, so that's really not the not the end of the world that we get hit with the Mana Vapors. Plus, we still get to swing in for 3, which puts us on board for commander damage, which is nice. So let's go Marsh Flats. Let's go and swing in with Kykar. Can be first to finally get on the board. We're going to swing in for 3. It's going to put them down to 28, and that'll be 3 total commander damage. Once we untap next turn, we actually are in a really good spot. We got Boros Charm. We can make all of our stuff indestructible. We are playing against Grixis. Grixis tends to run a lot of destruction spells. That's one of the other things that you definitely want to do in a Kykar deck, is you want to be able to protect your board state. With this particular build, this is a very heavy token build. One of the downsides to tokens is, you can do some, one of the pluses to tokens, you can do some busted things, Skull Clamp, things like that, but you are very weak to a board wipe. So simply just running like a 2-mana Boros Charm to give all of your permanents indestructible is a great way to, kind of force the issue of, not force the issue, but at least kind of protects your board state and kind of give you that insurance policy. So at this point, since we do have double Path, double Swords, I like waiting for our opponent to go for Lightning Greaves before we can cash in a little bit of one of these spot removals. So let's see what else they're tapping out for. They're going to go for Vapors. Yeah, let's go ahead and go for Swords to Plowshare on Kess. So it's going to give us an additional spirit token. And even if we just end up just going for the Skull Clamp activation on one of these spirits to kind of cash in some card draw, we're going to be able to get ahead on resources a lot quicker than our opponent. And especially with Kykar just sitting there tapped on the battlefield, that's going to be a really nice thing for us. So let's see what we draw into. Drawn to Anointed Procession. That's really good. Let's go for Wasteland. Let's go and swing in for 4. It's going to knock them down to 30. At this point, they've got 2 cards in the hand. They've got a recast cast. I just feel good about letting them get that Vapors kind of going through. So we're going to swing in for 4, knock them down to 30. And I think what we'll probably end up doing is simply just, we could go for Skull Clamp, but I'm just going to leave up Arcane Denial and Path to Exile. Now, if you're thinking about building Kykar, I cannot recommend how fun this deck is. You may not win every single game, but one of the best decks you can play in Commander is a Spellslinger deck. And when you're playing Jeskai, there are so many options for you to just have a ton of fun with. The fact that we can get down Anointed Procession, that's going to be double Spirit tokens. We can go for Monastery Mentor. We can get down Young Pyromancer. There's just so many ways that you can get so much value on the battlefield. Just imagine if we had Monastery Mentor and both of those on the battlefield. It is Cruel Ultimatum. So we're definitely going to go for that. Let's go and crack Marsh Flats. Definitely going to go for Arcane Denial on that. We're going to shock in Hollowed Fountain. We're going to go for Arcane Denial on Cruel Ultimatum. Make sure that, yeah. Okay, we can counter that spell. I always get worried that like we can't counter that for some reason. All right, so we're going to go for Arcane Denial. That's going to allow us to get an extra spirit token on the battlefield. And this is really going to put us in the driver's seat once we get this to resolve. They do get to draw 2 cards, but we've got an open Skull Clamp. We've got a ton of mana. And we've even got Mausoleum Wanderer that we need to get down. That way we can kind of start casting a few extra things to kind of pump up that Mausoleum Wanderer. All right, so we draw into Impulse. And then we run into Mountain. I think at this point, let's go and go for Mausoleum Wanderer right now, because one of the main things that we do need to watch out for in a Kess deck is some sort of instant or sorcery speed interaction. So let's go and push in. That's going to be 5 coming across. It's going to put them down to 25. Now, we can Skull Clamp, but we've got a lot of stuff that we can do. We've got Path, we've got Impulse, and we've got the land drop for the turn. I think we still might end up Skull Clamping on one of them. So let's say we end up going Anointed Procession. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. I think, yeah, if we want to be a little bit, a little aggressive on this one, if we end up going Anointed Procession, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because an Anointed Procession, that's going to give us a Spirit Token, and that's still going to keep us open on Boros Charm, and still give us the option to go for Impulse. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. So we're going to have Mausoleum enter the battlefield. It's going to get that additional power and toughness bonus. And if we really want to bottleneck our opponent on mana, I think we just go for the Wasteland on Crypt. I think that'd be a good option. Yeah, let's go and do that. So we're going to go in Wasteland on Crypt. That way it's going to get rid of their last piece of blue mana, and then we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. So we do have Impulse to go for. That's going to allow us to at least kind of buff up Mausoleum Wanderer. If we get into a little bit of a bind, we can actually go for Path to Exile to counter something, but we still have a pretty good answer for whatever they're going to go for in our hand. So let's see what they end up getting down for the turn. Rune Diver. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. Kess. Now that might allow them to go for some card draw. I still think I like leaving up Path to Exile on this, so we're definitely in the driver's seat if we start clamping some of these sculpt. Yeah, let's do that. So well, if we actually end up going for Path, that's going to allow them to find that second blue source. I think that's fine. Well, we're going to go and let that stick, because if they're going to start slinging some spells to go for that card draw, that's good. That's going to force them not to hold on to things that they normally would try to hold on to. Okay, so let's go ahead and go for Impulse. That's going to give us 2 more Spirit tokens, which is going to be 2 more Skull Clamps. And then you can also see how just simply for not running Spirit Tribal in here, just having Mausoleum Wanderer on the battlefield as it gets these extra tokens is such a nice effect. So let's see what they're going for. Decree of Pain. When you cycle it, all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Yeah, that's actually going to stop that, because Boros Charm's going to give them Indestructible, and that's not going to be able to stop it, but that does get rid of, I guess what we'll end up doing is simply just kind of sacking these spirits, because they're all going to get -2/-2. Yeah, let's just go and do that. We're going to sack the spirits out. And that's one of the other good things about playing Kykar. If your opponent does have a board wipe, you can just add a ton of mana to your mana pool. And if we hit something off this Impulse, we'll be in a really good spot. All right, so the Mausoleum Wanderer is not going to be able to get that bonus. We could have kind of had that stuck around, but I think that's fine. So we've got Counterspell, Recruiter of the Guard. I think at this point, we just want Counterspells, because that's going to allow us to just basically have an answer for whatever they're going to try to get down. So we could go Recruiter of the Guard with like Young Pyromancer. If that's going to be like 5 mana though. No, let's just go and grab Counterspell, because we can build up a pretty nice board state. So we're going to put those on the bottom in any order. That does give us 6 mana left over. If we wanted to send Boros Charm up top for damage, think we might end up doing that just to have some Skull Clamp. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go Boros Charm, 4 damage to our opponent. At this point, we just want to have some sort of spirits on the battlefield, especially with our opponent tapped out. So it's going to put them down to 21. We're going to lose that last bit of mana. Ooh, and then we run into Dragon Shift, which I absolutely love. Let's go and push in for 5. It's going to put them down to 16. And I think, yeah, let's just go and go for some Skull Clamp, because we've got Path and then Counterspell that we can go for next turn. So let's go and Skull Clamp onto the Spirit token. We're going to use this Ancient Tomb. We're going to equip on that last spirit to go for 2 more card draw. Hopefully we just run into some sort of instant or sorcery to kind of further our board state with these spirit tokens on the battlefield. Okay, that's great. Intangible Virtue and Talisman. So let's go Homeward Path, and let's go Swiftfoot Boots. And see, this is the other good thing about Kykar is you can just cast Swiftfoot Boots to get protection for Kykar, and it's such a nice effect. So let's go Swiftfoot Boots onto Kykar, and then let's go for Talisman of Conviction. Okay, that's going to give us 2 more spirit tokens on the battlefield. I mean, at this point, we're simply just going to leave up Counterspell and Path to Exile on our opponent, and then anything else, we're going to go ahead and pass the turn. Now, we did draw the Dragon Shift. If you haven't seen this deck before, Dragon Shift, using the Overload ability is a wonderful way to close the game out. So you can see with Dragon Shift, until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a 4/4 dragon and loses all of the abilities. But with the Overload ability, for 7 mana, you can turn all of your spirits into dragon tokens, which is a really cool effect. Opponent's going to go for Bribery, searching our library for a creature. Man, it is very slim pickings on what they want to grab. I think we just let this go through. I mean, we've got Path to stop if there's something else bad that they go for, so we'll go and let this go on through. But this is definitely a Spellslinger deck. There's not really much out there. I think the only thing that they might be able to grab would be something like Keranos, and that would only be the option. But let's see what they end up going for off of Bribery. Okay, so they end up going for Dawson of Perfection, which is a good option because that's going to put a spirit, that's going to put a wizard on the battlefield. And they're going to go for Wheel of Fortune. So let's go Path on Dawson because we really want to stop these any of these spirits going. That's going to give us an additional spirit token on the battlefield. And just so we can protect our Dragon Shift win. I mean, we've got it next turn if we go for Dragon Shift. So let's go Counterspell and Wheel of Fortune. I would hate for them to run into something like Toxic Deluge or something like that. I mean, if they have Toxic and they can wipe the board out, so be it. But I like going for Counterspell on this Wheel of Fortune just to kind of stop this interaction. Okay, so we're going to be able to untap. Let's get down Plateau. And since basically they're looking at Force of Will, I think we still just go ahead and go for Dragon Shift. Let's go and swing into the air. And the other cool thing is about Dragon Shift is it's an instant speed interaction, which is just so cool. So let's go and go for Dragon Shift. They're not going to offer up any blocks. Let's go Cast with Overload. And the other cool thing about Dragon Shift is you still get a token to tag along. So we're going to go for Dragon Shift. That's going to turn all of our spirits into full fort. Oh, look at that. And that should be lethal. It's going to put our opponent down to -21. This is pretty much textbook of what this deck wants to do. You want to go for some early tempo plays with Narset's Reversal and Remand. You would get down Kykar. Once you start to get that 2-for-1, you know, Kess is trying to do the exact same thing. They want to get a 2-for-1 out of the graveyard. We're going to be able to cast a cantrip, then replay it out of the graveyard. One of the cool things about Kykar is that 2-for-1 furthers your board state. You get more tokens on the battlefield. As you get more tokens, you saw that line of play where we could sack the tokens. That's a mana to our mana pool. It's just really hard that once you get Kykar to stick on the battlefield and you can't remove, your opponent can't remove it, you're going to be able to close the game out really quickly because it just build up a token army so quick. And now it does help to have Anointed Procession on the battlefield, but even without Anointed Procession, we're going to be able to close that one out pretty quick. So definitely see, but yeah, you know, there's other ways you can take Kykar, but going for a Jeskai Spellslinger is a wonderfully fun way to play. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.